Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Podcast, where we help you unlock your potential freedom through land investing, real estate investing, and entrepreneurship. Hey everyone, this is episode 83 of the Real Estate Investing Podcast, discussing investing in land 5 hours per week. I'm your host, Daniel Apke, joined by my brother and business partner, Ron Apke. Before we get into the show, let's go over a question from one of our featured members. Today's question is from Jamal from our Discord community. If you guys aren't on our Discord, go to landinvestingonline.com/Discord. It's a free community with tons of successful investors in it. Jamal's question was, I find myself not holding myself accountable for sending mail. I'm usually sending every week, other week, or every 3 weeks. I'm just not on a schedule. What are some strategies you use to keep yourself aligned with your goals?
It's tough. Like it really is. You got to make sure you're honest. Like it's so important for deal consistency. And as you scale and as you grow, Jamal, you'll kind of see how much of a difference. Or you might have already seen this. Like it makes a big difference when you take a week off of mail. So it's something you need to work on being consistent with. You want to have data pulled, you want to have data scrubbed, and you want to have things ready to price. Like hopefully you could be 2 months ahead on that stuff, and then pricing will be, you'll price maybe the week before you send it or 2 weeks before. But it's just about allocating some time during the week where that is what you are doing, whether however long it takes. I don't know how much mail you're sending, but for me, I try to do about 2 hours, 2 to 3 days a week. And that can get me anywhere from 5 to 8,000 mailers out per week. No problem. So that's really how I do it. And I think it's as simple as that. It's not something that a lot of people enjoy doing. And it's one of the bigger things that people skip out on, Dan, is sending mail. And that's the only way we're getting these leads. It is your lead source right now. So you need to just stay on some kind of schedule. Try to send 2,000 a week. And if you do get behind, don't worry about it. Don't sweat about it. Just not catch up. Just get back on schedule, really.
Yeah, exactly. I think get some sort of schedule, like Ron said, and maybe you need an accountability group with other land investors. Every land investor struggles with this problem. So get in some sort of accountability group to where everyone is on a list and knows what day they send mail each week or other week. Something like that I think would really work, Ron. And we have an accountability group within our course. So if you guys are in the course or interested in joining, that is a part of our program we offer. Let's get into the show. Investing in land with only 5 hours per week. That's I don't know, Ron. There's going to be a lot of people. We get that question all the time. I got it last night by a friend. I was playing video games with a friend, and he said, "How much do I need? How many hours a week do I need to invest in this business to make it work?" Like I couldn't tell you how many times I get this. So I'm glad we're finally talking about it on an actual podcast dedicated to it. But Ron, what's land investing look like for someone who's new here? I want to just start from the basics in this episode.
Yeah, so what we do and what we teach is buying land under market value, off market, and reselling it on the market essentially. So what we do, we send out bulk mailers and acquire whatever at, maybe we get a piece of land, one out of every 2,000 or one out of every 2,500 mailers we send. We get a property to purchase, and then we go on, buy it through an attorney or through a closing company, and we resell it. We have a ton of funding partners, so we'll use funding partners at times to buy our land, but we're actually buying it, getting the deed in our name, and then marketing it and selling it to an end buyer. So the basics of it, like Dan, that's what we do to keep it real basic. Um, as far as, do you have anything to add on that part?
No.
As far as the time it takes, 5 hours a week is a lot more time than people realize. Like, yeah, we spend 5 hours a week, or everyone wastes 5 hours a week doing something that like they could be more productive or something, which is fine. But 5 hours a week can really add up in a year. Like that's 250 hours a year. If you really are real with those 5 hours and put actual real 5 hours into this, you can get done with education in a month. And then you can start sending. I think you can get 1,500 mailers out a week, Dan, and do 5,000 mailers a month or 6,000 mailers a month and get some really good results, which it's crazy to think about because we've kind of scaled this a little bigger where we have a full business under us. And obviously we're working more than 5 hours a week on land, but you can make $200,000, $300,000 a year, I think, working 5 hours a week if you're smart with it, if you're efficient with your systems.
Yeah, and I think maybe at first you'd maybe spend a little more time. Just know you're going to grind for a month. Maybe spend 5 hours a week. But on weeks you can spend a little more. Maybe do that because there is upfront learning curves, which I tell everyone about. Those learning curves are going to really make you fight through things because they're going to happen in any business. There's going to be obstacles that come up, and you're not going to know what's going on. Like this business is confusing at first for some people, or for everyone at least. Any new business you get in, Ron, I feel like there's going to be major curves, learning curves coming. So maybe weeks, some weeks you can get more than 5 hours, some a little less. Hopefully, it's equaling out to five or more. But there is a learning curve at first. I think once you really get things going, Ron, after the first couple months, 5 hours a week is very, very possible.
I think without a doubt, to be honest, and there's probably people in our community who are doing it who just maybe they have one employee and they have an answering service and they have someone scrubbing their mail, and then maybe all they do is price mail and they approve the prices once they get deals coming back, and that's very realistic. Yeah, you're outsourcing some stuff, but if you're smart with it, like it can, you're gonna have to scale up to it a little bit, I think, but 5 hours can get you a lot longer than what you kind of think if you're actually putting the work in and the effort in. The education piece, like Daniel said, is so huge. Like you need to be continue. That should be at first, that's going to be 100% of your time is going to be the education piece, that first 20, 30 hours. And then it should still be 20% of your education. Like every week, you should be putting 1 to 2 hours a week, I think, into just education, whether it's consuming the webinar that we do or listening to some podcasts. And you can multitask with podcasts, which is great. But and then your other things would be pricing mail, improving deals, purchasing things, and you can get a lot done in that time. It's going to be a lot of answering phone calls and stuff like that. But I don't know. What do you think the capacity is for this, Dan? In terms of, I know obviously if you have a huge team and people doing everything, like you could literally work 5 hours a week and have a multi-million-dollar business. But if you have one employee or something like that, like what do you think the capacity is in terms of um, potential money they could make, mailers to get out and that stuff?
I mean, I really don't want to limit someone because I know if you hire and outsource properly, you can do a lot in 5 hours. I almost don't want to put a cap on it, Ron, because I just think if you, I guess you said with one person, right? There's
Yeah, so
definitely going to be a cap on
realistic,
one
you
person.
have one person and you're working 5 hours a week. You have one person fully trained. This could be 6 months down the line for some of you who are working a 9 to 5 job. This could be 6 months down the line where you could be in this situation.
So you and one other person. I always cap it around $1 million for two people, Ron. If it's a very capable second person, I think you guys both combined could make $1 million or so of profit.
Yeah, I mean, that's insane. $250 a year, 250 hours a year. I think that's $4,000 an hour, Dan. So what that
Well,
comes
that's
out to.
assuming the other person really is putting a lot more time in because it's one full-time
I
person,
was
I
thinking
assume.
more. I was thinking more of like an employee, Dan, an employee aspect instead of a
Yeah.
partner. Where, yeah, and I mean, you only got to pay an employee 100 grand, and they'd probably be happy.
I
Hundred thirty
mean,
thousand.
if you're doing 1 million of profit, you'll definitely be grinding. There's going to be a lot going on with just you 5 hours. It'll be 45 hours a week. So you'll be grinding. Maybe I'll bump that to I do want to put $1 million because I think that's more going to be on the upper side of the cap with two people, probably closer to 750 is very, very realistic. A million are going to be pushing your limits, I think, with 45 hours a week, Ron.
And it's not really two people, really. It's one in an eighth of a person or something like that. And you got to be really efficient, obviously, with those 5 hours. But I don't know, that book 4 Hour Work Week always kind of spoke to me, and they talk so much about systems and just processes, and I don't know, like so many people just look at the hours in the day and they work 8 hours a day and they don't know what they accomplish. Like if you work 5 hours, you're going to be uber efficient with those 5 hours. You're going to make sure you're getting stuff done. But yeah, if you can do $500,000 and work 5 hours a week, which I don't think is definitely beyond the realm of possibility. If you have an employee, like it's the you can do a ton with that. Like I really do. I think we'll have people in that situation here in the next 6 months, Dan. We might have people already in the community doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm curious. We don't know how many hours everyone's putting on, but I think to be really good at this, you have to get very good at outsourcing, very good at hiring, very good at letting go of things. Maybe you need to, yeah, just letting go, maybe taking lower efficiency rates and in return being able to do more volume because you're not going to be able to make every decision. You're going to have to trust people to make those decisions. Like I do not want to put a cap on what one person can do with 5 hours because you can keep growing your team with 5 hours a week. If you're putting every single second into that, you're working maybe on high level stuff, hiring another employee, training your current employees, all of that type of high level stuff. Like I don't want to put a limit on that. But the biggest thing is if you're getting started and you have 5 hours a week, because that's going to be most of our audience, people that don't have another person with 40 hours a week, Ron, or someone who's just looking to 5 hours a week without. Like the biggest thing is you cannot waste your 5 hours a week. You have to put that 5 hours on things that you know are going to move the needle. You're going to move your business forward with those 5 hours. That's what we teach in our course. That's what we preach in our course. Pricing mail, analyzing deals, putting properties on the market the way we teach it, which is marketing it correctly, making it look good, good descriptions on the right sources, all of that stuff. That's where your time needs to be because those drive the move the ball forward. What you can't do is look at a deal for 3 hours one week because you can't make a decision on it. Those type of things is what's going to kill you if you only have 5 hours, Ron. You have to be pricing your mail. If you're the pricing person and you're only working 5 hours a week, you better get that mail priced. Use someone else to scrub it, outsource the scrubbing and all that junk stuff you don't need to do. Use Pat Live, price mail every single time you're working.
Yeah, it's I think if you're first starting, like you need to be 100%, like I said before, on education. You can't get caught up on the thing like choosing your LLC name, whatever, getting your website set up. Like outsource that. It doesn't cost that much money to get a very basic website set up. Your 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 focus needs to be 100% on the education, learning land, learning how to evaluate land. 'Cause those are the high level tasks that you can be doing with those 5 hours 2 months down the line. If you're whether pricing, evaluating deals, like those are the big things you can definitely be doing. So I just think there's so many ways to do this, Dan, and I don't really ever think of the mindset because I don't want to just work 5 hours a week because I really do love doing land. I love teaching people this as well, on the other side. But you can do so much, and so many people ask us that, and 5 hours is like the bare minimum for these people. And I think that's almost like a long term goal that a lot of people say, like, I want to be on the beach working 5 hours a week or whatever. In reality, a lot of the people coming to us are working 9 to 5, and then they might have 2 to 3 hours every day they could work and maybe put in 15 hours, which is kind of a really good spot to start.
Yeah, and if you can, like if you want to get to the 5 hour work week, like Ron's talking about, and work it from a beach or wherever or travel the world, you can get there. Start with 10, 20 hours a week. And then once you get your systems up and going, your pricing, you can hire some people, you have some cushion room, and then scale it down to 5 hours the more you outsource. That's what I would do. If you can only start with 5 hours, the point of this is you can only start with 5 hours, and you can really, if you utilize those 5 hours appropriately, how we teach it in the course, I know you can do it. So that's why we made this episode to just show what's possible. But I think the less amount of time you have, Ron, the more fearless you need to be because you're not going to be able to spend your time on that type of stuff that we were talking about. And that's what holds people back. They're making decisions on these properties. They're scared to make a decision on the property. They're scared to send their next mailer. That's wasted time. You're not moving it forward. I'd take someone working 5 hours a week, fearless, than someone working 20 hours a week with all these hesitations, overanalyzing crap, not moving the ball forward, looking at things they shouldn't need to look at, spending 10 hours on their website, things like that. We need to move the needle in the right spots, Ron. That's so important in business in general.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the fear things that come in, and it was difficult for me, is hiring people. Like it is difficult and spending money on things. So you're paying someone else to do something. Maybe you're paying them $30 an hour, $40 an hour, whatever it is, that it's worth. That fear of spending money on other people is what's holding you back from shrinking your work week or shrinking the amount of time you need to put into this. Um, Dan and I were talking the other day, like what's holding us back from really growing. And I'm the one that's still pricing stuff. And it's a hard thing to outsource for me because I take pride in my pricing. I put a lot of time and effort into it. But if we can spend whatever 60 to $80,000 on someone to price and to be really good with data, that value is going to pay us back really fast. If that frees up 15 hours of my week that I would be using on pricing, and we get someone who can also scale with us and send 50,000 mailers a month, opposed to whatever 20 to 30,000 mailers. So that's something from our business, and it's a difficult thing. Like spending that money on a pricing person who isn't going to pay off initially, like it's just not going to. But spending money on people is something that is a huge hurdle for a lot of entrepreneurs, Dan, and everyone wants to try to do everything in their business, but it's a huge hurdle. And it was difficult for me at first, like I said, but I think that's one of the biggest things that holds people back from being able to lower their hours in the week to also scaling as well.
Yeah, and I look at it more instead of labeling them a pricing person. Like that's an investment on an analyst. Hopefully they can come in and do all kinds of things for us, not just pricing related, just analytics. Like analytics. We had an episode, our last episode, I think it was 82. We talked about data, like having someone to come in and do all that too, Ron, not just the pricing aspect of things. So I think potentially that could see an ROI on an analyst month one or two, to be honest. I do. Um, but yeah, like I said, the main point of this is to show you that you can do this in 5 hours a week. You really can. The more hours you have, the better. Always, I think. Well, not always, but part time wise, yes. The more hours you have, you can watch a couple extra YouTube videos in your spare time. You can network on our Discord community. But I want to take this in a whole nother route now, Ron. A whole nother thing that we haven't talked about: banking partners. For people that don't have the time, Ron, but have the money and they love land investing and they like what we here to say, what is there a spot for banking partners, just people to finance these deals, and how does that work?
I was talking to someone about it earlier today, very similar to that. There definitely is, but I also think there's a huge value with maybe you want to be a banking partner in our community and be a funding partner, but I think there's so much value in actually going through the course, even if you don't plan on sending mail yourself. But learning land, I think if you have a bunch of money and you're trying to invest in land, but you don't want to actually do the business part, I really strongly believe investing $1,000 in the course so you can evaluate land is I don't know. I just feel strongly about that, Dan. You don't want to just invest in something that you don't know about. Like, I'm not going to invest in some random industry that I have no clue about without doing research and learning about it. Yeah, I assume you agree, right, Dan?
Yeah, you need another process. Like how does this even work? Like think of if you're a banking partner and you have no idea what land investing is, Ron, and someone comes to you and says, "Hey, will you finance my deal for 50-50 profit split?" And they send you the deal. You don't even have software to look at that property. They give you a parcel number, an APN. You don't even know what that is. Or you do find the parcel number and you're looking at the tax map. You have no more information. You can't even analyze the land. You don't have pictures of it. You don't have the tools and resources that we provide in our course. It just is way, way too risky. You can go into this as a banker. First off, if you're going to split a deal with someone 50-50, you're going to make over 10 grand on your first property because our average profit's in the mid 20s now per deal. And there's a lot of people a lot higher than that. So you're going to make over 10 grand on that if it's a 50-50 profit split, Ron. So I would just say that the course is $1,000 and it can get you more educated in land so you can actually have the tools and everything. And, you know, bring the deals to network in the community, bring the deals, get others' opinion on the deal. We'd love to have more banking partners. What we don't want, Ron, is people that just have money, they come in and they don't really care about land. They just want to throw their money around because I just think that's risky. And it's just, we are looking for long-term relationships. We want people who are invested in the business model as a whole and to get educated.
And I think as having a free Discord like that, which I love the free Discord and all the interactions, like those people partnering with our paid students, like it does, like to be 100% blunt, like it does scare me because I know a new student could be pulled in by potentially cheaper money or stuff like that. But as a new person here, you want to invest, and that's what we teach also. Like, invest with people who know land. Like, don't worry about the cheapest money right now, but invest with people who know land, or get money from people who know land, so they can almost be a second set of eyes for you, opposed to just someone who has a bunch of money and they want a good return. So I think I do worry about that in the community, Dan, as a whole. Is But most of the people in our community are really great, and they all know land for the most part. And a lot of investors have joined the course just so they can do this. But I just want to make that point.
No, it's a good point. That's all I had though, really, with this episode, Ron. I think we got about 20 minutes. I think there's a lot of good info. Hope they got a lot out of it. Do you have anything last things to add?
No, that was good. It's definitely like you can, if you outsource, if you learn how to be efficient with your things, you can definitely do this in 5, 10 hours a week. I truly believe this. You can make a ton of money. But other than that, Dan, I don't have anything.
10 hours, you can absolutely crush
Oh, for
this.
sure.
Like you can, yeah, 10 hours is a lot of hours. 5 hours, you'll have to be really, really taking advantage of your 5 hours. But as always, guys, thank you for joining. To get started and to unlock your potential freedom, visit landinvestingonline.com. Join our free Discord where Ron and I and other successful investors are involved. Please like and subscribe this YouTube channel, Apple Podcast, or Spotify, whatever you guys are listening on. It really means a lot to us. Other than that, thanks for joining. We'll see you next episode.
Thanks, guys.